Hello, everyone. It's Ruby D, the Goddess Entrepreneur, and it is Sunday. So that means it is So Sunday with Ruby and Allison. So, while I'm waiting for Allison to start watching, I'd like to thank you all for joining us this Sunday for this conversation that we're having today on Soul Sunday. And today's topic is about relationships and mental and emotional illness. For those, while I'm waiting for Allison to start watching so I can bring her on, just to give a little bit of a background of what Soul Sunday is. Soul Sunday, Allison and I started back in November of last year, where every Sunday we go live to talk about a topic that needs to be discussed. Hey, Allison, I'm sending you the invite right now. But topics that need to be discussed that most people don't discuss. And me and Allison, we talk about it and we have fun while we talk about it. And y'all, please, for the past, since Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I have not been feeling well at all. I've been dealing with some neck and back pain, and my movement has been extremely limited. So I've been getting over that, so I've been getting lots of rest. And yeah, it's bringing Allison on. Hey, Robin. Hey, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Real quick to our replay viewers, if you happen to watch this on the replay, please comment where you're watching from, your name, so we can thank you for tuning in, and so we can see how far our message is reading. Love your post. Thank you, Stephanie. You know, I just be whatever comes to mind, and that's what I post. And we're still waiting for Allison to come on. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Wish you had shared that when we last spoke this week, but I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that go since we public and stuff, but you'll hear from me later.
Okay, then. But so, because I haven't been feeling well and I've been dealing with this pain, oh my God, look at my eyes. But because I've been dealing with this pain, we just gonna go ahead and get started. Like I said, this week's topic is about relationships, mental and emotional illness. And I wanted to talk about that because it's been a topic that I've been wanting to discuss for a long time. But, you know, with me and Allison, it's so much that we can talk about. And we only talk about this once a week for an hour. Now we're doing it twice a week. So Tuesday, we have Soul Sunday Reloaded at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, you know, we're now doing it twice a week, you know, for those that enjoy listening to us and engaging. But
Yes.
for who I am Ruby D, the Goddess Entrepreneur, author of the Goddess Grind book series that focuses on you becoming the best version of you in order to manifest success personally and professionally. I am a chakra expert and chakra therapist. I don't really like to use the term therapist, but I haven't figured out another word to use in place of it, so I'm just gonna roll with that for now. I'm a speaker. I speak on a number of different topics dealing with the chakras, dealing with mental illness, dealing with entrepreneurship, radio personality, and one half of Soul Therapy Radio with Tara. Shout out to her. Hey, sis. And
What's up, Tara?
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let Allison introduce herself while I share the video.
Well, peace and blessings, everybody. I am Miss Allison Denise. I am a coach. I talk about how to reignite relationships. I want you to learn how to heal, grow, and live beyond that relationship status by becoming better, not bitter, enjoying your life along the journey, and having the best relationships you can, starting with the one that you have with yourself. I am a speaker. I am an author, a writer, a blogger, and I'm one quarter of the Bad Squad radio show on Fishbowl Radio Network, where you can find us on Fridays from 9 to 11 Central, 10 to midnight Eastern. And of course, you know, I'm here with my sis Ruby every Sunday and now Tuesday. So I'm excited to be here and I'm looking forward to today's topic.
Yes. So normally, I have my little list of bullet points, and I ain't got none of that today. None of that. Um, I've been getting a whole lot of sleep the last few days, and I got up today. Like, I ain't write none of that down. We're just gonna wing it. I did have some things that came to mind that we're going to discuss. So we're just gonna jump right in it. The reason
All
I
right.
wanted to talk about relationships, mental illness, and emotional illness is because, of course, hey Renee, yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Hey Brian, hey Javon, yeah, hey everybody. Thank you for watching. Oh, and if you feel anything that we say resonates with you, or you feel it'll be beneficial to anyone else, please feel free to share it. If you have any questions, comments, engagement, we welcome it all. Um, but the reason I wanted to talk about this topic this week is because when, of course, everybody's on social media pretty much. And I just see a whole lot of topics on my timeline as it relates to relationships and who's bringing what to the table, and why, the whole blame game, and why this and why that. And it's it gets ridiculous. And sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's just like, really, we with this again. um
Yeah. Yeah.
but I feel like, instead of what somebody bringing to the table, we need to know what's going on mentally and emotionally and all of that good stuff, because it's just like, it don't matter what you bringing to the table if you're not mentally and emotionally prepared for what I'm bringing to the table. um
Mm-mm.
and I might not be mentally and emotionally prepared for what you're bringing to the table. We need to talk about that first, and once we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about that, then we can see where we want to go from there. I mean, now it's like so many people are dating outside in instead of inside out. When I say outside in, I'm pretty much referring to, oh, he look good, she this, oh, he got this, oh, she got that. And then it's just like, after you in the relationship and then you figure out what's really going on with them, then it's just like, why they didn't tell me? Well, because you didn't ask. Simple as that. We need to get in the habit of learning how to have this conversation about whether or not, we're dealing with some mental and emotional things. And in most cases, most people are, to some degree. So it shouldn't be a difficult conversation to have. It's pretty much whether or not you feel comfortable with having that conversation with this person. If you're not comfortable with having this conversation with this person, you probably shouldn't be comfortable enough going on a date with them in the first place. Unless it's somewhere public and y'all just meeting up, that's different. But you shouldn't be sleeping with them. You shouldn't be planning this whole life out with this person if you're not even comfortable with being who you really are and sharing that part of you with this person. Allison? I know Allison got something to say.
Oh, I do. I do. So, uh, my biggest thing. So when we're talking about the mental health piece and relationships, I do believe that one of the mistakes we make when we're talking about what someone is bringing to the table is we don't think about, to Ruby's point, what mental stuff are you bringing to the table?
Mhm.
I don't particularly care if you make six figures if you're crazy as hell. I don't. So there's no need for me to get focused on the fact that you make a lot of money if I never know which one of you is coming home at night without some kind of warning.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about, mental illness and or mental health and having that communication about where you are, I will take an extra perspective on that. Um, when Ruby asked, well, why didn't I know that they were this way? And she said you didn't ask, and it is important to ask. But I also am very big on it on people being self-reflective. And so you have to also be in a place where you're not waiting for them to ask, because sometimes if you already know that there's something they need to know and you decide to fall back on, well, they didn't ask me, kind of the don't ask, don't tell, you being selfish. You already know that there's something wrong that could be a potential problem. Open up your mouth and say something. Now, the only reason that you would have for not wanting to share it, you could have two reasons. Maybe you're embarrassed. I get that. But more times than not, it's because you really like this person and you just don't want them to go to disappear.
Mhm.
But you're taking away their choice to decide whether they want to stay. If they're going to leave, whether they find out you're dealing with something that they can or not, wouldn't it be easier on you specifically for you to find that out before you get invested and before you start to get comfortable and before you start thinking that it's safe? Absolutely. But you're actually thinking from the selfish perspective of, well, no, I'll let them know when I know I got them. That's selfish. That's manipulation. So you're adding mental issues on top of the fact that you're selfish and manipulative, and none of these things are good. So you have to make sure that you're not just waiting for someone to tell you, but if you know it's a big deal, if you know it has caused trouble in the past, open up your mouth. Hey, I want you to know that this is what I'm dealing with. On top of the fact that I'm dealing with it, these are the steps that I'm working on with working through it, with changing it, whether it be medication, therapy, whatever. But let them know what they're getting into. It's not fair to lead somebody into a blind situation.
Right. Question: how can you help with your partner's anxiety? You love yourself, and but she doesn't love herself. That's a
Mm.
tough one. Um, all I can really, add to that or to answer that, I would say one, you have to be patient. You really have to be patient when she's having her episodes or when she is dealing with something. Learn her triggers, learn what triggers her. If you can figure out what those triggers are, then you can prepare yourself as well as help her to prepare for what's about to happen. So I think a lot of times we don't know really what those triggers are. It just kind of hits us. Once it's happened so many times, you begin to learn them. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing that I tell my clients is to, learn what the triggers are. And if you can learn what the trigger is, then you can figure out why it's a trigger. And if you can figure out
Mm-hmm.
why it's a trigger, then you know what you need to work on or the root cause of that particular one to work on it slowly. Of course, is going to take time. I actually, for a short period of time, dated someone that deals with anxiety. And the best thing that I could do with him was be patient. I can't be worked up because he's worked up. I can't be upset because he's upset. The best thing that
Mm-hmm.
I learned to do is to be patient. If he didn't want to talk to me, then I didn't force it. If he, needed to yell, then I didn't have a problem with him yelling at me. If he needed whatever he needed to do, I was pretty much in that particular space where I didn't mind it because I know it wasn't my fault and I know he wasn't coming at me or he wasn't putting it on me. It was just something that he needed to, deal with at that particular time, and I didn't have a problem with helping him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my input to start there. Hopefully, she can get to the point where she can learn to do some self care activities, do some work on some personal healing. And, if you really love her, then you're going to be willing to go through that with her. Sometimes she may need you to tell her, hey, you might need to take some time out to work on your healing, to get some self care in, to do some exercises that focuses on you living in the moment as opposed to worrying about what's going to happen in the future or what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Pelosis, we're going to come back to your comment. Let me go ahead and let Allison chime in on the question real quick.
So, to answer that question, the very first thing that you want to do is make sure she wants help. So everything that Ruby said makes sense, but you have to also uh, ensure that you know that she's on the same page. Some people are okay not loving themselves. Some people are okay with that role because they want the attention. And I'm not saying that your situation is that, but you want to make sure that your situation isn't that. Because if it is, what's pretty much going to happen is you're going to end up voluntarily making this a one-sided relationship because she's gonna your partner is always going to let you be extra patient, be extra caring, be extra everything, and they're gonna sit back and let you because you're not putting them in position to actually be responsible for their own um or not just responsible but to participate in their own healing. So make sure that that person even sees that there's an issue. Now, in addition to everything that Ruby said, you also want to make sure if the person doesn't love themselves, and that also means they don't know how. And so part of love is boundaries. And so one of the things that we sometimes forget is while we are with a person and they say that they don't love themselves and we want to show them how to love themselves, two of the best ways to do that is showing them when they should set a boundary and then also setting a boundary with them. Now you want to explain. You don't want to just set the boundary, because when you're dealing with somebody who has anxiety and you just set a boundary, they're going to automatically go into the anxiety phase. Oh my God, I did something wrong. They're going to leave. You always want to sit down and explain. And I'll just give an example. Let's just say that they call you 6 times in an hour, every hour until you get home. Sometimes you answer them, sometimes you don't. You've got to set a boundary. You can't stay there and it's anxiety. That's now cutting into your uh, freedom to have your own space. You still do deserve to have your own space. So that is when you want to sit down and say, hey, I know exactly why you called me so much today, and I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. But as we show you how to love yourself, I also have to show you what a boundary looks like.
Mhm.
You cannot call me like that again. That is taken away from my ability and freedom to just have my own time. Not that I don't want you, but I am still my own person. And if I were to ever do this to you, I'm just showing you how to take care of it if I do the same thing. So you always want to explain why you're doing what you're doing, but you still want to do it. And so as you're showing her how to love herself, you're not losing you in the process. So that's my 2 cents.
Right. And then we had a comment: relationships and what's needed to sustain one and how it affects the mind are the most situational subjects discussed nowadays. There's no real checklist to determine compatibility. However, it all begins with acceptance. I agree.
I
It
agree.
does. Self love is so important. Yes, it is. Um,
Hmm.
you talk mental health. This anxiety is affecting me. Um, when then that gets back into what Allison was saying about at some particular point in time, even though it's not your anxiety, you still have to create your own boundaries of what you're willing to, how far you're willing to go with this, and what your cutoff is. I mean, just like she has to set boundaries, you have to set boundaries as well. It's unfortunate it happens, but we don't want you to be 10 years down the line in a situation now you can't get out of it, or it's more difficult to get out of it because you fail to set boundaries, and you fail to stick to those boundaries and communicate those boundaries, and now in a situation that you really can't get out of. um
If you don't create the boundary, what will happen is you'll leave the relationship having anxiety. That's what's going to happen, because you've put so much effort and energy into trying to heal her from hers that by default you have learned more about it. You have opened yourself up to learning about it, and you've aligned yourself. If you don't have that boundary, you've allowed that same issue to start to take over your life.
mm,
So if it's to the point that it's affecting you, number one, it means that you have to set some boundaries that you haven't set yet. But number two, depending on how it's affecting you, you may have to back away from the relationship so you can get yourself back on neutral ground. And if you want to go back in, cool, but you have to go back in with a different mindset.
Baby mama, Lord save me. Yeah.
Okay, that's another topic altogether.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Are y'all together?
that.
Just answer that. You said baby mama, but are y'all together? Because here's the thing, you can't just stay with her because of the kids.
Right.
I'm a product of parents who stayed together because of me and my sister. And when I walked out of my house at 18, I didn't want kids and I didn't want to get married based off what I saw in the house. So you can't stay just because she has your kids. That's not an option. I don't care what excuse you give. You got to get out because your kids have to see one healthy parent.
It,
And if you can't both be healthy together, then one of you needs to separate immediately. If you're not together, then why is this affecting you? Unless it's affecting your kids, either you really want to be back there or you haven't completely severed the tie. But it shouldn't be affecting you if you're not together unless it's affecting your children.
how much time does it take for a person to grow? Their whole lifetime. Honestly and truly, it takes a lifetime to grow. You never stop growing, you never stop learning. Um, it's levels to healing, it's levels to everything. Once you exceeded one level, once you've mastered one level, now you on to the next one, and then the next one, so on and so forth. It's a never ending process. But thank you everybody for tuning in to Soul Sunday with Ruby and Allison. We are discussing relationships and mental and emotional illness. Um, the next thing I wanted to kind of that came to mind as I was laying down resting was I know sometimes one of the issues that we have is when we first meeting somebody is okay, how do we bring up the topic of mental and emotional illness without scaring them away or without me sounding crazy or them sounding crazy? Sometimes it's not a
Mm-hmm.
matter of just saying, "Hey, what demons you dealing with?" It ain't just out like that. But sometimes you have to listen for um, conversational cues and what I call conversational clues. In the midst of you all having conversation and conversing and talking about different things, you have to pay attention to their facial expressions, their reactions, um, when you say certain things and when they talk about certain things. Um, when we have conversations and when certain topics trigger us or certain things trigger us, then it immediately shifts our mood. We immediately begin to act a little different, and then it's something okay. No, I'm all right. No, no, you've struck something. That's pretty much like a conversational clue. A conversational
Mm-hmm.
cue is when you're talking and sometimes the mind drifts away or sometimes they just stop talking altogether. They pause before they answer. If they pause before they answer, it's because they're thinking about something, or either again you've triggered something. um when those type of actions occur or things occur, instead of just brushing it off, sometimes we have to ask the question, well, what's going on? Is it something that you want to talk about? Sometimes we overlook that. And in some cases, that makes or breaks whether or not a person can be really interested in you or not. If they've been on so many dates where nobody has even bothered to ask them, well, what's going on? Or is it something that you're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable talking about? Then you're automatically dismissed as somebody that they're not interested in because you're not really interested in even getting to know them. And those are little things that we have to pay attention to. Certain topics that they that may come up. um, of course, in general conversation, you talk about excuse me, you talk about your parents and stuff like that. If they say, oh, my mom passed away or my dad passed away, um, if you lose a parent, that's going to affect you in some type of way. That's kind of like common sense. But
Mm-hmm.
when that conversation comes up, then it's just like, okay, that opens the door for taking the conversation in the direction of you getting the opportunity to know this person on a deeper level, as opposed to just kind of skipping over that because you don't want to step on anybody's toes. But that's your opportunity to say, no, I'm really interested in you, and this is a part of your life. This is something that I really need to be made aware of. This is something I need to share with you. Um, Tate, what if y'all Brian, but it's balance. One should seek once balance is found, then work on healing. I mean, it all kind of just works together. Balance, healing, self-care, self-love, it all goes together. It's really impossible to work on one and not work on the other ones. So, but you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to work on everything as a whole. Allison, do you want to go ahead and chime in on like the little conversational cues and clues part of the
Yes,
conversation?
ma'am. So yes, here's the thing, and I'm just gonna go back to the basic real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship involves two people. Excuse me. What I mean by that is it's not just about that person learning you. It's about you deciding if you're also willing to pick up their cues, pick up their signs. Are you willing to invest that mental energy to get used to how a person acts when they're okay, to know when they're not okay, and to learn when you can push to get the answer versus when you need to back off until a later time. That takes energy, that takes effort, that takes wisdom. Are you willing to do that? If you're just in a relationship for what you can get out of it, leave people who have mental issues alone, because you're not going to be a safe place for them. And then when they flip out on you, you're going to want to call them crazy. They're not crazy. You never went into the situation ready to be a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're willing to do this. Now, if you've made the decision that you are willing to do this, that is, like I said, you have to learn to watch. You know how he or she looks when they're really, really on cloud nine. You know how he or she looks when they get a little irritated. You know how he or she acts when they start to get stressed. You know how he or she acts when they're really upset. I'll just give an example for me. When I'm really, really mad, now I already keep a clean house, but when I'm really, really mad, I deep clean. I do. I scrub walls. I get
That was the
baseboards with
first thing I
toothbrush.
say. She be in there scrubbing walls.
I scrub walls. I get a toothbrush and get baseboards. I start, doing windows that I can't even reach. I have to get in the chair just to clean the window. That's when you know I get in a good place. Now, if you use that against me, I will figure it out. So to those of you who are like, well, I'll just piss her off when I want my house clean, I'll figure you out and I'll cut you. But what I'm saying is, I know when I'm upset. Now, the people who have dated me have figured that out too. And I have evolved out of this. I'm not one of those women who says nothing when something's really wrong. I do eventually say something's wrong, but I've also learned the value of putting that initial anger towards something productive
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't snap at the person I'm dating. So that's one of the reasons I have decided to go, because sometimes I just get so mad. It's like, where's a brush? I need something now before I go off on somebody. But after I have exerted all of that energy, he or she, if I'm with one of my girls, if I'm with my man, whoever sees that I'm upset, I can then go to them and say, okay, you're right, something's wrong. Here's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've done is still preserve the relationship. That's the point, because one of the mistakes that people make is thinking that when they're mad, they have a right to snap and be hurtful. And the thing is, you got every right, but the person that you're snapping at, they also have the right to get sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find another way to be more productive. So when you're looking, look at those clues. Does this person know that every time they get anxious about going back to work, that they go get a whole tub of ice cream and bring it back to bed? Do they know that when they're upset, they tend to get short-tempered with you? Do they know that when they start to get scared or feel like you might be pulling away, that they try to pull away first as a way to protect themselves? If you pick up on this, but they don't know, that's one of those times to sit down and talk to them and say, hey, you get like this when I go out of town. Are you aware that the whole time I'm out of town, I'm missing you? Are you aware that the whole
Mm-hmm.
time I'm out of town, I'm thinking about you? That can calm anxiety so quick, because what's probably happening is they're thinking, oh, every time he or she leaves, they're out with all these other people and they're forgetting all about me, especially if you haven't picked up a phone to check on them. Go ahead and tell them. Don't say what's wrong if you already know what could have led to it. Just tell them, hey, when I'm not with you, I promise to make a better effort to check in, but please know, even when I don't, I'm not with somebody else. That will calm so much down. So you have to learn how to read the clues, read the cues, but then make sure that you respond effectively. Effective communication, as our sister Ruby
Exactly.
likes to call it.
I know, right?
Effective communication. You want to make sure that you are effectively communicating. It's not enough to just say there's something wrong, and that's where so many people miss it. Oh, he just mad. I don't know what the problem is. She just being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
No. If that's all you see, exit. Let her or him find somebody willing to spend more time finding out about them.
Right. What Allison had said. Y'all see my whiteboard? Writing stuff down on the whiteboard. So I got one for soul therapy, one for soul Sunday, the other one for the other stuff. Robin, I have a question about Infidelity. I found out that my partner has cheated on me a while back. I have forgiven him, but at the same time, I can't forget. He has been doing things and going the extra mile to regain my trust. It's appreciated, but at the same time, I'm side eyeing him. I second guess everything he tells me. I know I need to leave because I cannot let go of the act, but of course, he helps me out with the grieving process of my mother, who I lost this past May. He helped me take care of her during her last months. I would appreciate you guys' opinion.
Hmm.
Robin, that's you have a lot of factors in that. With you having so many different factors, you're gonna have to kind of break it down for yourself. Um, with breaking it down, do you feel like him being there has made the process easier? Which I imagine it would be because you're not there alone. You have someone there with you.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
is that the only reason you're still there with him? Because he's helping you. He doesn't have to be your man in order to help you through that. If you guys are still friends, he can still be in that capacity with you all not being together. Um, if he's already apologized, I mean, you also have to think about how you found out about it. Was it something that he came to you and was open about, or was it something that you heard and you had to approach him about it? If it's something that he was open about, then you know he cares because he cared enough to tell you. I'm not condoning what he did, but if he cared enough to tell you, then that says a lot about him as opposed to you finding it out somewhere else. Another part that you have to take into consideration is the reason that you're not able to get over it because before him you had issues with partners being unfaithful and you never got over that or you never dealt with that, and that's why you are reacting the way that you are now as opposed to second guessing and not believing everything that he's saying. um Once you go through each
And
of
Robin, if
those.
you could answer some of this, Robin, if you could answer some of this, so I'll know how to answer as well. Some of the questions that she's asking, how did you find out? Did he tell you? Did he get caught? You know, all of those things. And also let us know if he's employed. That'll help me answer my question.
Tate has some input. Robin, if you have forgiven him, forget the act that he committed if he truly has admitted his fault. But don't forget the warning signs. Excellent point, and that's where I was getting to. It's if for some reason you can't forgive him for something that you're still dealing with, you need to deal with that first before you completely let him go. Because if you still do not want to be there with him after you've dealt with whatever issues you have, then I forgot what I just said just that quick. I'm sorry. But um take
You were
care of
telling her to make sure she's okay with the act, that she has gotten over
yeah,
what he did
make
first.
sure
Yeah.
that whatever issues that you were dealing with prior infidelities, you've taken care of first, and then reevaluate the situation with him. Do you want him there or do you not want him there? If for some reason you feel
Mhm.
like you still can't trust him and you're still second guessing him, then it's probably best just to let that, let that go to the wayside and focus on you and your sons and your business and keep moving forward. It has made it easier, but I have two children with him, and he helps me with my eldest that isn't his. He didn't tell me. I had to find out what he did through looking on his phone. Um, yeah, that's a tough one, especially if he didn't come to you, because probably had you never found out, he probably wouldn't have never said anything about it. And at that particular point, you need to decide how that affects you. Do you feel like he values you enough to have been honest, or that he didn't value you at all because he couldn't be honest? He wasn't honest until he was confronted about it, and then it's just like, well, she knows, I might as well tell her now. Allison, I'm gonna go ahead and let you chime in. God of War, we'll come back to your comment in just a moment.
All right, Robin. So this is gonna be harsh, but I'm gonna say it because I love you. All right. So here's the thing. Number one, he got caught. I need you to really let that sink in. And to any brother out here, I would say the same thing if it was you telling me about your woman. He didn't come and tell you, I need to sit down and tell you something. And close your eyes while I say this to you. I'm going to do these two scenarios real quick. He didn't say, babe, come here. I need to tell you this or that. This is what I did. I know that I shouldn't have done it. This is why I did it. What do I need to do to make this right? How can I fix this so that you trust me again? He didn't say that. He got caught. And so you told me that he's employed, but here's what I need you to know, because here's something that we don't think about as women sometimes. You are bringing up need in your responses. My mom passed away. You had a need. I have 2 kids with him, plus one that's not his. You have a need. Let me tell you what you need. What you need is peace. As long as you have peace, everything else always falls into place. The person you're meant to be with, the people who are meant to help you, the lonely nights, you'll get through them. The nights that you're horny, you'll get through those too. What you need above anything else is peace. He's not sorry. He's homeless. I'm just putting that out there. He's not sorry. He's homeless, and he don't want to be on no child support. Because if he was focused on you like you think he is, if he was focused on helping you like you think he is, he would have kept his dick in his pants and come home to you. He made the decision to drop him. He made the decision to let another woman have something that he said was just yours, and he had to wait until he was caught to say he was sorry. Unacceptable. You deserve better. I don't care what grief you're going through. I don't care what fears that you have, and most of them are probably worse than the reality. I'm just speaking from my own experience. Whatever fears you have about dealing with those babies alone, let me tell you something. If you tell that man that you want to be single, if you tell him that you want to break up, and he immediately decides that he don't want to have nothing to do with any of the kids, he was never there for the kids to begin with. It's time for you to see how much value he's placing on this relationship, because you've already proven that you have invested. What's he going to invest besides a warm body and a second pair of hands that he couldn't keep off of another chick? Just be real with you so that you know what you have and what you don't and what you deserve. That's all I got.
And Robin, I know, I'm not sure if Allison is aware of what you did while he was away, but you deserve a lot better than that, being that you stayed there through it. So I'm just gonna throw that in there. God of War, my mother's child doesn't have family or friends. I push her away and she keeps coming back. I don't have help dealing with this woman. It was cheaper to keep her. You don't want to be there. You might as well just go ahead and go ahead.
I got a war.
Go ahead, Allison.
All right, so God of War is like this. I had a man come up to me, and I keep in mind, I'm not trying to dismiss the fact that you have a connection with your kids, but here's what you have to understand. If you don't want to be this woman's support, you have to stop being this woman's support. And whatever effort that you're making that's not working, you got to take it up a notch. I had a guy that came after me. I think it's been 3 or 4 months. No, maybe 3 months now. Came to me in the inbox, which I keep telling y'all not to do, but came in the inbox. You're interesting. You're beautiful. I think you're great. I think God told me you're my wife. No, he didn't, because I don't know anything. And the 2 brothers before you said the same thing, and I don't believe in polygamy, so y'all lying. So What he continued to do, however, was continue to send messages, continue to ask questions, continue to do those things. For a brief period, I thought he figured it out, but he didn't. I finally hit him with the hammer. Listen, you're a good dude. I appreciate everything that you see in me, but I'm not for you because of these reasons. They weren't bad. We just weren't on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
He waited until the next morning to respond, "Good morning, Allison. I love you." Now, here's where some people make the mistake. Some people make the mistake of saying, "Well, I'm around, but I already told them this. And I'm around, but he or she keeps coming back." Here's what I did: I promptly blocked him from everything on social media. Now, did I do it because I was angry at him? No. Did I do it because I was being vindictive? No. I did it because sometimes you got to shut a door and then lock the door. And if they keep trying to find a lock, you got to concrete that sucker so that they know that this is not the way they need to go. So if you really don't want her back, if you really don't want to be there for her, you've got to close that door. Stop answering the calls. Tell her, "I'm here to discuss the kids with you and nothing more." And then you got to stick to it. Is she going to be pissed? Yes. Is there a chance that she may try to retaliate? I can't tell you that. You know her character better than I do. What I can tell you is, as long as you keep giving her the impression that you're an option,
She's
she's
gonna
going to
keep coming
take it.
back.
You've got to shut down the option. She'll figure it out, I promise you. Say a prayer for her, meditate, whatever it is that you do, shut the door, because what happens when people lose what they've been using, by default, they're going to sink or swim. And God of War, she's not going to sink.
She got somebody
She's going
else.
to find another outlet. She's going to find another outlet, but as long as you keep allowing her to take control, and that's what she's doing, she's going to keep taking it. So figure out what will help you to move forward.
Yes, Allison says, not Allison, Robin. Thank you, ladies. I so appreciate your opinions. Love you, Tate. I love y'all to life. You're welcome, hun. We ain't got
You're
no reason to
welcome.
lie to you. We ain't sleeping with you. Uh, I wanted my baby girl not bounced around. I didn't trust the people she had my baby around. Well, you might need to have the baby come stay with you. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but I've seen situations where men, um, the mom wasn't stable and was all over the place, and so the father made the decision just to go get the child. I actually, when I was in Mississippi, I dated a guy that did just that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always an option. Um, but thank you all for the input. Thank you all for tuning in to Soul Sunday with me and Allison. Y'all know this right up Allison's alley, talking about
I love
relationships
it.
and stuff. But we are discussing relationships, mental illness, and emotional illness. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we thank you, Robin and God of War, for sharing that with us and allowing us to share back with you. If you
Yes.
feel anything that we've said is beneficial to anybody, or you feel that somebody needs to hear this, please feel free to share the video. Um, Also, with relationships, dating, mental and emotional illness, of course, Allison did touch on it when she was talking about effective communication. Yes, we have to learn to effectively communicate when it comes to talking about things that matter. We can sit and talk about fluff and junk and all of that all day. Oh, let's go here. Let's go hang out. What you eating today? Did you eat today?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it ain't always about what you ate. It was, how did you feel? How do you feel as a result of this? How is your mental? How is your soul? Have you been spiritually fed today? Those types of things. And sometimes when we don't know how to have these conversations, we just pretty much just stay floating on the surface. But if you're going to have these types of conversations, you have to learn to communicate effectively.
For a second. Um, you still
Decline.
there? Oh, there she is.
Yeah, my sister started calling me, girl, decline. I'm doing something right now. But communicating effectively when you have these conversations, you can't just, okay, let's talk about this. No, it's almost like you have to, I don't want to say set the scene, but you can't be at the fair or at the club or at the bar talking about, let's talk about your feelings and your emotions and your mental, and no, you can't, ouch. You can't do that. You have to, for one, be in a situation or be in a setting where it's just you two. The reason I
Mm-hmm.
suggest it being just you two is so you won't have any distractions. You can focus on each other. You can really be opening to listening and speaking, not listening to respond, but listening to understand. Not speaking to
Mm-hmm.
force your opinion on someone, but speaking from a place of where you're sharing information. Um, and with having this type of dialogue, for one, you're able to connect with this person on a different level. It's not just shallow connection, it's actually you going deeper. And never mind, I ain't even gonna go there with that. But um, sorry, I had a moment. I had a moment. But when you are in these situations where you can have these conversations and effectively communicate, then you begin to open yourself up to learn about another person's experience, to learn about why they feel the way they do, to learn about why they do the things that they do, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, it starts to open up the window for these conversations to be had more regularly. It's not weird anymore. It's not uncomfortable anymore. It becomes the norm. And uh God of War says, "You're right. Thank you, Black Queens. My soul tells me I'm a son. God, praise the Most High Son." Indeed. And you're welcome. Like I said, we're always here. You know, if you feel like you want to inbox Allison, Allison, remember the
I'm
name.
here.
Don't block him because you know how you do. He'll be like, "Peace, God is up." Block. No, 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 no. It's cool.
No, I won't do that to you, God of War. You can come find me.
Right. But effective communication,
Mm-hmm.
it is so important. Like for me, for example, if I can't effectively communicate with you, I can't effectively do nothing else with you. We can't effectively go eat. We can't effectively go hang out. We can't no. We need to effectively communicate first
Mm-hmm.
because you need to understand me and I need to understand you.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, I'm gonna go ahead and let you chime in on that because I don't want us to run too much out of time.
Okay. Well, so the I guess all that I have to add to that is you've got to get you got to get the communication piece down, like Ruby is saying. And the reason that that part is so important is because when you strip everything else away, I don't care if you have strong physical connection. I don't care if you have the best sexual experiences with this person. I don't care if they bring in the most money, if they have the best idea. I don't care about any of those things. Those are additions. But if all of that goes away, if the job leaves,
Mm-hmm.
if all of those things leave, you for whatever reason, sex isn't even a possibility anymore. Can you still communicate with one another? People think sex keeps a relationship together, and it doesn't. People think that when you've been together 35 or 40 years happily, not just together for the sake of saying it, but they think people who have been together 30 or 40 years happily must have an incredible sex life, no arguments. And no, that's not true. They just learned how to communicate when they were having rough times, and they made a decision that they were going to stay committed even when they were mad,
Mm-hmm.
because they were not going to stay mad. And so the reason that the communication is so important is because that is the part that you need to focus on. That is the part that will sustain you. That is how intimacy is built. That is how trust is built. That is how a safe space is made. All
Mm-hmm.
of those things are based on that communication. And so especially when you have someone who is dealing with emotional pain or a type of a mental issue, emotional pain specifically, somebody that's really, really been hurt really, really needs a lot of communication from you. Because most people who have been emotionally hurt and damaged were damaged at the words of other people, damaged by the lies of other people, were damaged because they invested in someone who kept letting them invest, knowing that they were never going to give them a return.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leaves a person with a scar. It leaves them with a void. It does leave them questioning a lot of things. It doesn't mean that you should just let that person go and write them off as broken. That's not what that means. What it means is you may just have to put a little more communication into that situation to overcome what they've dealt with. That's different from you trying to fix the wounds that someone else created. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're acknowledging that the person you're dating is wounded and you're willing to do certain things to make sure that that wound stays closed and that you don't open it back up. So that's where communication starts. And just like Ruby said, you want to make sure you're communicating to listen, not to respond. And that's where I see a lot of people make a mistake. Someone will come and tell you, I didn't mean to do what I did, but that last relationship, you're the first person I've dated since then, and that just seemed familiar, and I just don't want to go down that road again. That person's being honest. And sometimes you make the mistake of writing it off as, well, I'm not your ex, and you need to get over what your ex did. That's not what they said. They said that something you did was a trigger, but you were so busy waiting to respond that you didn't listen. And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to make sure that you do the different things. Someone who tells you an ex did ABC is not saying they're not over their ex. They're trying to tell you, because they're still not ready to be vulnerable yet. They're still, what they're saying to you is, please don't do this to me again. If this is who you are, it's fine. Just leave now. But please don't do this to me again. And all that person really needs you to do probably is just give a hug, acknowledge that you heard what they said, and then move forward with behavior that is the opposite of what they said hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that will calm that information, that issue and that anxiety down. But it goes back to you. Are you willing to do that? Or do you want to just wait for someone that you think is perfect and has no problems?
Mm-hmm.
Your choice.
And with Allison saying that, I'm just gonna put it out there like this. One thing that I do not like is when I'm me personally, I don't know about nobody else. I'm talking about me right now. But if I'm talking to someone and I start telling them what my ex is and this and blah blah blah, oh, you still in love with your ex? Did I say I was? It's a part of my life and it happened. So I'm gonna talk about it. It's not that I'm still there emotionally. It's not that I'm not over it. But what you want to talk about? Because I don't watch TV. If you ain't talking about no Teen Titans Go, what is there else to do? I mean, what we gonna talk about on TV? Because I don't watch nothing else. I don't watch no news. And I would want to know what happened in your past relationships so I can learn about you. How did you effectively deal with the situation? Just because
Exactly.
you talk about your ex, I'm not gonna sit up here and say, "Oh, you still want to be with her." That she ain't got nothing to do with me. Obviously, she don't want you if she ain't here. I don't know why y'all broke up. That's why I'm asking you. It is a very valid question because if you
It
broke up
is.
because you tried to kill her, then I need to know that so I can go
Okay.
about my business. I'm just saying. If you
It's that
talking
simple.
about if you look at me like I'm not over my ex, guess what? In this case, I'm not. So you go your way, I'm gonna go mine. We cool. I ain't got no problem with you. You the one who wanted to assume that I wasn't over my ex and that I still had feelings and that I was whatever else you done dealt with in the past. That's you. Clearly, you're still not over your ex because you still talk about her and you talking about her. You equate to still being in love with her. So you go call her while I go call whoever else I decide I want to talk to today because it ain't you.
Mm-hmm.
But
And if
um,
I can just add to that, what Ruby is saying, here's the deal. Y'all need to hear this. There's a difference between someone being over their ex and not being over what they did. That's the part that you have to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about our sister Robin. So she was open, and she was open enough to let us know what she's dealing with. She's dealing with, what do I do after infidelity? Let's say she decides to leave. Let's say she gives herself 6 months or a year to heal and then go back into the dating scene. People make the mistake of thinking that healed means over. It doesn't. Healed means I'm done with that part of my life, but it also means I am now about to go back into the world. And how do I know I won't run into someone else who does the same thing?
Right.
And up until she meets someone different, she's going to look for signs that she maybe didn't pay attention to before.
Exactly.
If you give off the sign, boo boo, and she brings it up and you know that that's not what it means, shut up about her not being over her ex and understand this is just something that is a trigger for her. Nothing more. It's just a trigger. And decide to not push that trigger. Oh, so when I go 5 or 6 days not talking to you, it makes you think this. My bad. Okay. How many? I can't promise every day. Be upfront. I can't promise that I'm going to talk to you every day, but how many dates do you need me to check in?
Right.
That's not being weak. That's not a woman controlling you. That's a woman or a guy, whoever the situation applies to, saying, you just opened up a wound. I don't believe you're like this, but this is something that I can't personally handle because of my experience. At that point, you rise to the challenge or you fall off. But accusations, not helpful.
Not at all. Because accuse if you want to, you ain't got to worry about talking to me no more. But,
Ever.
and you know what? Now that you bring that up, then we should talk about ouch. We should talk about that one on the next Soul Sunday, which is going to be Tuesday. Soul Sunday Reloaded, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. But relationships and I don't know what to call them. I don't want to say myths. I don't want to say, I don't know what to call them, but pretty much those things that that you do that people say, well, she did this, so this is the reason why, or vice versa. I'm gonna take the next few days and just go on Facebook and scroll, because I know I'm gonna find plenty of examples of, like, you know what, we're gonna write that down because y'all got that nope, that's confused. You know what, I'm gonna write that down too, and we're gonna discuss that Tuesday on Soul Sunday Reloaded. Tuesday.
Yes. Tuesday.
Renee says, learn to respect the temporary boundaries. Temporary, permanent, all of them. Just respect all of them. And you better be
Yes,
glad he
Renee.
or she is open enough to share this with you.
That part.
That's one of those conversational
Yeah.
clues. Remember? Pay attention to
Yeah.
them.
Unless you want to go back to dating someone who hides everything and
Right.
holds it in. I mean, it's on
And
you.
don't know how to effectively communicate and make
I mean,
accusations
your
and
choice.
assumptions all the time. If that's what you
Yeah.
like.
Do you?
Thank you all for tuning in to Soul Sunday with Ruby and Allison. Now we come into our question. Pretty much each show, we're going to end the show with asking a question. Allison and I are going to both answer. And if you feel that you want to chime in, just go ahead and comment your answer below. I'm going to read the question twice, and then I'm going to answer, then I'm going to let Allison answer. So the question is, how do you tell a friend that you no longer want to hear about their toxic relationship? I'm going to read it again. How do you tell a friend that you no longer want to hear about their toxic relationship? Girl, if you call me one more time talking about this relationship, I done told you to leave him alone. But if you keep calling me, no, you know what? The next time you call me with this mess, I'm going to hang up. I'm not hanging up because I don't want to talk to you. I'm not hanging up because I don't love you. I'm hanging up because I don't want to hear this. And if you're gonna stay with him, don't come talking to me about it. I done told you what to do. That's how I'm gonna tell her. I'm tired of hearing about it. Positive vibes only. Allison.
I can't believe Ruby is actually going to be harsher than me this time. All right, I have been in this situation several times. I will tell you exactly what I've said. And if any of them are watching, they can tell you that I'm telling the truth. After a point, it depends. I don't have a deadline or any kind of default. Oh, it's been 30 days, I'm done. I don't do that. But after a certain period of time, what I do is tell my brothers as well as my sisters, I say, you know what? You're not done yet. I know you're not done yet. When you're done, let's talk about this again. Because you're not done.
Oh,
You'll know when you're done, and when you're done, come find me and I will help walk you through it. But right now, as long as you continue to go in this circle, it's because you're not finished. So nothing I say is going to help you.
you so
And I just
nice.
leave
Girl, don't call me no more.
it.
If you want to go eat, call me. If you want to go shopping, call me. If you want to go to karaoke, call me. Don't call me about that dude.
That's how I handle it. Because the thing is, I know how it feels to go in that loop. I know how it feels. You keep hoping that he's going to be different. And I'm saying he because that's what I date. This can apply to any way. I know that hope that maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe this time it'll be different. I know that. But the thing is, it's not about the hope. It's about the fact that I'm not done hoping. Until I get done hoping, it doesn't matter how many times people talk to me. I'm not done hoping. Once I hit that last straw, if he puts me to that point where I have hit that last straw, that's when I'm done. And up until that point, the suggestions, the advice, nothing really sticks until I'm finished. But I want that person to know that they're not alone. So I don't want them to be scared to finally call me and think, well, I can't call her now, she mad. I want her to know, hey, she said when I was done, I could call her. So now I'm going to call her and I'm going to say, okay, sis, okay, bro, what do you want to do now? And we'll just go from there. But it saves the friendship. It saves the friendship. You stay too long, you get mad, and then you out. I'm sick of hearing about this. I'm sick of hearing about him. I'm sick of hearing about her. I'm just done with both of you. It save your friendship. Just tell them when you're ready to be done, let me know.
Let me go close the door. I'll call you back. Now you know which one of us to call in that situation. Don't call me. Like I said, you want to
I
go
just
eat?
can't.
Let's
I
go.
can't.
You want to go hang out? Let's go.
Oh my God. I can't.
Karaoke? Let's go.
Let's go.
You still talking to him? No, ma'am. But let us
just
know what
can't.
y'all would do in that situation.
Oh my God. Oh man, you got me so red in the face over here.
But this is Soul Sunday with Ruby and Allison. We have had so much fun today, and
Yeah.
we cannot wait to talk to y'all on Tuesday when we revisit this conversation just from a little bit of a different perspective. It'll be
Mhm.
Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Soul Sunday Reloaded. Um, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate the engagement, the questions, the shares, the
Yes.
likes, the
Yes.
hearts, the smiley
Yes.
faces, the laughing
All of that.
faces, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me, of course, here on Facebook, on Instagram at Ruby D Artistry. My website, www.thegoddessgrind.com. YouTube, Ruby Davidson. I'm not gonna give you my Mercury is in Scorpio to the point blank. Girl, I am a Scorpio.
Oh yeah, God of War did ask that. Okay, so Ruby's a Scorpio. I'm an Aries, God of War. I did see that question. Yeah.
Scorpio. But Allison, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh my, I think this has been my favorite one so far. I am Allison Denise. You can find me right here on Facebook under Allison Denise. I have two official pages, one for Allison Denise, aka the Petite Powerhouse, that's me. Another for my 501c3 nonprofit, the HGL Group. You can also find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram under Miss MS Allison Denise. And please feel free to go to my website, AllisonDenise.com.
Indeed. So, we thank you all for tuning in to Soul Sunday with Ruby and Allison. We will see you on Tuesday
Tuesday.
at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will be discussing relationships and, like I said, I don't know whether to call them myths, assumptions, accusations. Y'all just have to tune in and see what we decided to call it at that time. But
Yeah.
if you caught us on the end, definitely go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. So we will see you
Yes.
all on Tuesday on Soul Sunday Reloaded. Bye bye.